CEO Emerging Africa Capital Group, and we're going to be talking. We're still talking about building the. We're still talking about the Nigerian corporate structure, doing some inspection analysis. What exactly is the Nigerian corporate structure? What happens within the Nigerian corporate structure? She's been given some pointers to some of the things young. People starting out should be looking out for. But like I said before we went on the break, I was going to ask the dichotomy between I schooled in Nigeria and I schooled abroad. So I am one of those people that I totally rep my school. I don't care what anybody says. Lagos State University is the best university in the world. I don't care what. Why are you laughing? Clem is laughing. I don't know why she's laughing. It's the best school in the world, and I say that with all of my chest and my heart. Right? So even if there's any other qualification attached to my name, I still put LASU first. Yeah, Lagos State University, best school in the world. But I obviously cannot brag about the Nigeria diaspora dichotomy because obviously having been on both sides I don't know if there's any discrimination. But does senior management bother about it?
Honestly speaking, when I am hiring, I am looking for skills that you can demonstrate. Looking for demonstrable skills. And I think that is what you'll find with most of top management in all well-run institutions. On one hand, I do care about the
quality of the
education that you got, and that is not based on the geography of where you got the education. First, it's based on the ranking and the reputation of the institution, and there are quite a few well-ranked and reputable Nigerian universities. I am a product of both the University of Ife, then now Obafemi Awolowo University, the University of Lagos, and the Lagos Business School.
Oh, okay.
And
okay.
I have also been exposed to executive education across the world. Harvard, Wharton, IASA in Spain.
I remember I saw that.
Kennedy in,
I remember I saw that
Switzerland.
you actually documented your process. There was your executive course somewhere, and I remember following through on your Facebook page, and I was like, fantastic. It made me want to go back to school again.
Thanks. So New York Institute of Finance, all kinds of institutions, and to be honest with you, I mean, those are excellent institutions with great global brands. But our Nigerian institutions are not bad either. Some are pretty good. Some, there's plenty of room for improvement. But the truth of the matter at the end of the day is, irrespective of where you studied, demonstrate to me that you can do a good job. And I will not care a fig at the end of the day. Our young graduates need to understand, first of all, our students need to understand that, as they say, you don't just pass through the institution.
The institution has to pass through you.
The institution had better pass through you.
Very true.
Whilst you are in school, you better not just be ticking the boxes. You better actually be learning
something.
Because someday you're going to sit before an interview panel and you're going to show them that
you actually know you know your onions.
Absolutely. It's not enough for your certificates to say you had an upper class,
first class,
2-1 degree. It doesn't matter. What matters at the end of the day is when I ask you, when I put a live situation or a problem before you, demonstrate that you're capable of solving it.
Capacity
is very important at the end of the day.
So talking about gender diversity, still a issue, big issue, elephant in the room. In some areas, especially Nigeria, we're still getting to come to grasp with it. Even in the basic issues like community, we don't have a female governor yet. We don't have a female president yet, and thank God that because of people like you, we've had female CEOs at the very top. We've had female chairmen,
of boards.
of boards, even of big banks. So it is changing, and we're excited to see that. And you find out that even it's so beautiful, because you find out that a lot of the time the turning to the putting diversity on the board wasn't just about we're trying to be diverse. It was, this is the most skilled person that we need right now. Get her or nobody else. So yes, it's and we've seen that it's beautiful. But yesterday, it was brought to my attention on Twitter. Ini Abimbola pointed me at a poster of an economic event. It's supposed to be a roundtable on the economy, and it had 9 men on the panel. 9 respected men, no doubt. No doubt. But the organizers said they tried to reach out to 2 women, and they said they were unavailable. Which, of course, I didn't find. I didn't buy it. So you reach out to 9 men, but 2 women. And then later the organizer said, well, there are not so many female economists. And I said, bull. Complete bull. But, I see that the organizers really don't understand or grasp it. And why do you think that still is? That even though we've made such giant strides, we still have so many people we still have to bring along.
Gender diversity remains a critical challenge, not just for Nigeria, but for the world. So the McKinsey Global Institute came up with a report after a lot of research that demonstrated that there is close to 13 trillion, about 12.9 trillion US dollars worth of wealth that could be created across the world simply by achieving equal representation of women in the business space. So the world is losing by neglecting about half of its population. The nations are losing. And now this lack of diversity cuts across business world, governance, all spheres of leadership, including the clergy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And community leadership as well. So this is a challenge that we're going to need to tackle and face head on. We're going to need to change some of our wrong mental dispositions. And like you said in the example you gave, if you got a yes from 9 men, by the law of probabilities, you probably called 20 men.
Exactly, which of course is the real scenario.
So, but then you called 2 women, so you called 10% of the 10% of the proportion of the men that were called were the women. And by the way, that 10% actually cuts across a lot of segments. So if you look at corporate leadership, you look at political leadership, you look at, we will be struggling to achieve 10%. So there's a huge gap. It's not just Nigeria that has not had or that does not have a female president. Africa, unfortunately, as of today, we had one, and then conveniently, she had to step aside. And a lot of men have survived for like maybe 10 times.
Some of them before I was born. It's amazing. It's amazing that they continue to do that. And I don't understand why we can't see it. It's glaring. You find out, there's several CBN reports which talk about the fact that you find the repayment of loans that CBN gives out, women pay back over 80%. And with the male counterparts, it's less than 40%. That is one. 2, you find out that, one of the examples under the leadership of Mrs. Bukwa Oshika of the First Bank Group, you can't feel that there has been a massive change within there. You know, you can just, it's not something that you can say, okay, it's the money. You can just feel an attitudinal change.
By the way, Ibukun is a phenomenal lady. I'm so proud of her. And we've got a lot of great women like that in the corporate world and in the political space. And I hope more women are going to be given leadership opportunities.
Why don't we see it though? Why don't we see it? Why don't it's for me, I think it's that time that we need to, you know, I don't know.
By the way, are you aware that it has been proven that companies that have significant representation of women in boards and senior management consistently outperform companies that don't? So it is actually enlightened self-interest for companies when they make extra effort. By the way, I always get this question, how are we going to achieve it? How do you achieve all your other corporate goals? You set targets.
Exactly, and you work towards them.
You put in place a plan.
Yeah.
So companies should set targets for diversity and put in place an actionable plan to achieve it and monitor their progress in the achievement of that plan. That should be part of the appraisal for the leadership of the company.
You said it, enlightened self-interest. The reason why you don't fall into fire is not because you don't want to fall, but because you know you will get burnt.
Absolutely.
And you protect yourself. And the reason why you eat is because it's not generally because you like food. You know that it will keep your body running.
Tunji, some of us eat because we like food.
Woo! Okay, I would not discriminate on that. It is. So let's go into the age scenario. There is so every generation is different in terms of context, how they view jobs, how they view innovation. I realized that the generation of my dad, they were more structured in terms of get into this organization and graduate, stay here, you know, the best you can do, give it to this organization. The generation directly after that is slightly different. They were more ambitious, more innovative. My generation is slightly selfish. Yeah. I want to put it as selfish because we just wanted to climb to the top very quickly. You know, we're thinking about the very top and not thinking about the process. I think now that we're a little older, we're now realizing, oh, there's a process. So we're now going back to the process. The generation that's coming after mine is one of the least loyal of the generations I've seen. Least loyal in terms of the fact that they got out of school earlier. They got education quicker. They are slightly more intelligent. Okay, let me not use the word. They're slightly more book brilliant at the point where they leave school. But they feel the only way to actualize their goals is to be able to go out and do their own businesses as against climbing through the corporate ladder. Do you think corporate entities in Nigeria, especially Nigeria, because I mean, outside the world, there's a vaster labor force. Ours is very small. Do you think Nigerian corporate organizations are going to suffer from this going forward? Because the younger people, they work 2 years and they're thinking, let me go and start my own fintech company. They work 3 years, they want to go and start this one company. They work 1 year, 6 months off, they've already started. In fact, before they leave school, they've started the company.
Okay, let me say that I totally welcome the entrepreneurship drive that we see in our youths today for so many reasons. The first reason is that at the end of the day, it is entrepreneurship that will bring real growth to our economy. Entrepreneurs and the SMEs employ, on the average, close to a third in most sub-Saharan African economies, and well above 70% in quite a few economies. They are the ones that provide the jobs. They're the drivers of growth. So a big, for example, international oil company may generate millions and billions of dollars, but how many people
does it employ?
are they actually employing? So we need these entrepreneurs it's a welcome development that our young persons who want to go out there and set up businesses and create wealth. Now, the corporate entities that want to keep them in employment are going to have to then reinvent today's world of work. So first you reinvent the workspace to ensure that people can be entrepreneurial at their job. Reinvent your policies such that employers can actually have a more aligned compensation structure.
True.
Such that they also feel like they are
part of the
enjoying part of the wealth that they're building for the organization. Create an environment that embraces flexible working so they can still pursue their dreams, whilst working for you without, of course, in non-conflicting areas, but definitely and embrace innovation, because also as you have the technology begins to drive growth across industries, the need for you to actually have huge numbers of people employed is going to be
a lot higher.
So a lot lower actually.
Okay,
so what,
lower,
what you need to do is reinvent the way you engage with the youth. So see them more as partners, collaborators. And a lot of global companies are already doing that. So, for example, so you begin to see them more as collaborators and partners rather than as employees. And come up with structures that enable them to do that, and you'll be fine.
Do you think our corporates are that flexible to do that?
We're not there, and we're being very rigid. And you'll find out, for example, that has been responsible for the slow deployment of fintech in markets like ours. So we're far behind what has happened, for example, in Kenya. So mobile money, for example, needs to be embraced. It's here to stay. And
say it again, ma'am. Because I think they are not listening.
It's here to stay. No, I think they're gradually beginning to listen. So the handshake between the big corporates and the entrepreneurs that are developing all these amazing solutions has to be a warm and a firm one, and that's the way to go.
Okay, let's go into Emerging Africa Capital Group. We're getting introduced to the group. Let us know what exactly the plans are, what you're planning for the future, and where you are right now is in terms of the company and where we're going towards in the future.
Okay, thank you. So I'm playing towards my passion. And my passion is to deepen financial inclusion. And so what we're doing essentially is to support African businesses to, of course, get access funding as they require, supporting them through the process of even deploying the funding, and providing an enabling environment and providing support for Africans to invest both in Africa and outside Africa, and of course for internationals to invest within this space as well. So those are some of the things that we're going to be doing, looking for alternative investment opportunities that will meet various needs of our clients, positioning ourselves in a space where we can stand between Africans investing amongst themselves and the international space.
I must confess, though, I think I've never said it to you, but I'll say it here on the radio. Watching you while you were on top United Capital, I've always just felt that entrepreneurial drive about you, and in my mind, I was like, she's going on to something else very soon. I could just sense it. I don't know why I felt that way, but I could just feel the energy, the drive, and which of course brings me to your book, The Game Changer. Yeah. So you see, I've been stalking you. The Game Changer. What inspired the book? What were your thoughts when you were putting it together?
Okay, so my first book was Yes, You Too Can Maximize Your Life. My second book, Yes, You Too Can Get to the Top. But I'm happy that you're calling it The Game Changer, because I can assure you that when I do the next edition, I'm going to call it The Game Changer. Game Changer is my Twitter handle. And what I had in mind essentially was to create a ladder for those who are just beginning their career and business lives, and who want a roadmap
on how to do it
to get to the top. So the kind of book I would have loved to read when I was just
when you were starting
my
out.
career, I decided to write such that people can have young and upwardly mobile people can have
Sort of
a guide and a
yeah.
roadmap to success in life.
Especially within the Nigerian context, which of
Yeah.
course is the most important thing. A lot
Yeah.
of, and I think that's the biggest downside of
Yeah.
my generation, because we
Yeah.
read too many Zig Ziglars, which of course are fantastic books. No, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but they just miss out the nuances of the Nigerian scenario,
Yeah.
the difference, the slight tweaks here and there. And if you miss out those slight tweaks, you might miss out on everything, especially within the Nigerian society.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's just a thought. All right, so also, because I want us to touch on everything, the Association of
Corporate and individual investment advisors.
Advisors, yes.
Yes.
So what? Because I noticed the people that were, I think at the launch I saw Femi Awoyemi,
Sure.
you know, a
Sure.
big Egbon who does, no matter how much I invite him, he will not come on the show. I don't know why he's media shy. I saw you and I thought to myself, where was I when this was happening? I want to be a part of it.
Okay.
So what was the thought about
Okay.
bringing it together?
Okay, let me kind of back up a bit and say that the Association of Corporates and Individual Investment Advisors is an offshoot of the Association of Investment Advisors and Portfolio Managers,
Okay.
which has been in existence since 1981,
Oh.
was set up by the giants in the industry. The first president was Deacon Gamaliel Onosode.
Wow.
I had the privilege of working on the council with him, and those are some of the things that, you know,
Wow.
changed the kind of person I am today,
You-
or made me into the person I am today. So all through the years, we've been striving to, you know, inculcate professionalism in the investment management space. We've been working to develop capacity amongst operators in the investment space, and we have done a lot over the years to train and develop professionals. Now, the CIA, as we call the offshoot, is an SEC recognized, you know, body to standardize the practice of investment advisory business. And we are working to do that. We're putting in place standards for operators, both corporate investment advisors and individual investment advisors, to give the desired confidence to investors. So when you know, I mean, investors, I mean, I will confess, have suffered quite a bit in the past in this industry. Some of them have suffered at the hands of operators that were not, you know, ethical, were not well structured.
Some that were not even operators to even begin with.
Some that were imposters.
Yeah.
So what we are trying to do here is to streamline that space and put the right governance and the right standards and structures around that space, such that investors can be confident to deal with.
You said
members.
1981, City of Lagos. That was around it. Yeah. When I, you know, okay, let me not say that before I, you know, yeah.
Let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah. Okay. But that's a long time. It's
Yeah.
great to know that thoughts, and, you know, Gamal Onosode, they're just some of those people that you can't speak about Nigeria's capital market history without mentioning some major names. That's a big heavyweight in the Nigerian scene, the Nigerian story, Nigerian history, basically, especially in the corporates. Thank you very much, Ma, for being with us on the show. Honor to have you with us on the show. Great one. Thank you for honoring the invitation, by the way. It was such a great one. I was holding my breath when I sent you the invite. I was like,
You're welcome.
thank you very much for coming. So we've been speaking with Tony Sani. She's the CEO of Emerging Africa Capital Group, and basically big things she's been doing in and around the Nigerian business space. You might want to follow her on, I think most likely, you follow on Twitter, Tony Sani, but also The
LinkedIn?
best place is LinkedIn. Yeah, because she has nuggets daily, her thoughts for the day. You might want to follow that. Her word for the day, basically. And she always gives the nuggets daily. You might want to follow that. Very fantastic stuff. I tend to follow it myself.
Thank you.
I tend to follow it. Thank you very much for being with us on the show. City of Lagos. Tomorrow I will be having with us in the studio. I know we said we're going to do a corporate roundup, and we will still do it. But because I will be having Andrew Ali with us in the studio, outgoing president of Africa Finance Corporation, we'll be trying to make that as short as possible so that we can talk about infrastructure, funding infrastructure in Nigeria, the funding gap infrastructure has. I think he has some experience in that and can, possibly give us some heads up. Right, City of Lagos. All right, so want to thank Tuisani again for being with us on the show. City of Lagos, look at your timepiece. It's exactly 10 o'clock. Still a very young morning. Do go out and be profitable.
So business in economy.